Here I am.
Capecoast Castle.
Yeah, Capecoast Castle.
Now, before what you're standing is the male slip dungeon. There are two dungeons here in Capecoast Castle. The male slip dungeon and the female slip dungeon. In the male slip dungeon, we're as many as 1,000 men. In the female slip dungeon, we're as many as 500 women. The conditions in the dungeons were very horrible. And the floor that leads to the male dungeon is very slippery. So you take your time to walk slowly. Let's go inside slowly. Now, this is the male slave dungeon. Now, the male slave dungeon comprises of 5 chambers. The first chamber, the second chamber, the third, fourth, and the fifth chamber. In each one of them were 200 men. 200, 200, 200, 200, 200. So that means we're 1,000 men in the male slave dungeon. Now the only source of light and air for 200 men here was that hole there. Can you see it?
Yes.
There was no light. So let's get there. Watch your steps. Watch your steps, please. Let's come this way. So 200 men in each one of them makes 1,000 men in a dungeon. Now the African men will sleep, eat, and defecate here. The conditions here were very bad. Mosquitoes were coming inside. There was a wide spread of diseases such as malaria, cholera, diarrhea, COVID, you know, it was in here that the African men would eat and sleep. In the middle of the male dungeon is a trench. Have you seen a trench? Yes. Now it is through this trench that anytime the African men pass water, it will just go through this trench and eventually get into the ocean. Okay, now let's get there. Let me show you something very important, please. The first, second, third chamber, fourth, and fifth. In each one of them, I did mention of 1,000 men. Can you see that open? Yes. Now, there was a church on top of the male dungeon, and this is the position of the church. The British would worship in the church, and the same people stand right there and look at the African men in the male slave dungeon. All right. Yeah.
That's where they drink.
Can you all see these bricks?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
The original floor of the male dungeon are these bricks. We were supposed to be seeing bricks. We were supposed to be standing on bricks. Okay. Now, slavery lasted nearly 500 years globally. Here, for about 300 years. Because the African men were defecating, eating, sleeping, dying. Their human waste and the kind of food that we eat and feed Jesus eventually became this dark floor and covered all the bricks.
Is that what we are standing on? Is that what we are standing on?
In the boat.
Now this contains traces of DNA of the people.
Wow.
This is the authentic evidence of the presence of the prisoners of war. Now, I made mention of 5 chambers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But right behind me is a small prison. Have you seen it? Yes. Now, many African men in the middle dungeon got very sick and very weak. The British soldiers will leave them there, will put them there. After they die, they will just take their bodies and trash them in the ocean. This is a shrine. This is part of what we call the West African traditional spirituality. This is what the West Africans were practicing before the Europeans introduced Christianity into the continent. Okay, but this was not here when the 1,000 men were here. It was established by the people of Capecoast after the abolition. There used to be a big tunnel here. Big tunnel. All the 1,000 men were chained and forced through the tunnel to the door we call the door of no return. But this tunnel was sealed off in 1834. Now when you go out there, I'm going to show you the tunnel and the door of no return. Any questions?
No.
Now there are many raves. Look behind you. In the middle, where do you normally see them?
Cemeteries.
In Tiabrofon, because they were dumping us in the ocean. Some of the Africans in the diaspora, African Americans, Caribbeans, Black Europeans, they buy these raves and they lay them here in order to show respect to the ancestors who died in the dungeons. Now back in the mill slave dungeon, I did mention of the big tunnel. Do you all remember the tunnel?
Yes.
Now base part of the slave castle is the tunnel system. The tunnel system begins in the mill dungeon to the door we call the door of no return. Now the British soldiers could have allowed the 1,000 men in the mill dungeon walk through this courtyard. Where we just walk through to the door of no return. But we were afraid. Imagine 1,000 men in the mill dungeon through this courtyard and about 5 of them got unchained. They could try to resist. In order to avoid that, the British soldiers would chain the African men in the middle there and urge them through the tunnel system, or we call the door of no return. But before I take you to the door of no return, I'd like to take you to the most dangerous cell of the castle. Please come.
The most dangerous cell of the castle.
You see this place?
Yes.
Have you seen any windows here?
No.
Now, we call this cell the male punishment cell. Every dungeon has a punishment cell. You have already been to the male dungeon, and it's a male punishment cell. Back in the male dungeon, I did mention of 1,000 men. There were some men in the male dungeon who tried to fight back for their freedom and right. All the men who did fight back were brought here. The numbers of the African men that was brought here was influenced by the numbers of the African men in the male dungeon who fought back for their freedom and right. If there were 5, 8, 6, the British soldiers would bring all of them here. There were 3 doors there. The British soldiers would close them and lock them. No windows, no food, no air, no light, no water, till the all. I personally call this cell the grave of Capecoast Castle. Let me put a light out to close the door.
Yes.
But just a light in my mind. Listen. As anyone, the way the things are, if I don't show, you don't come and listen. You feel them. This is the middle part of the tunnel system. Okay, the starting point of the tunnel begins in the middle dungeon. I'm going to take you to the exit. But right here is not where the African men came out from. This is where the British soldiers would stand and urge the African men. Go! I'm going to let you have a go. You take a step. Yes. No, it's been changed.
catching on one. Extra, I catching on one.
It's okay. Why? Just take a peek.
Back in the milk dungeon, I did mention of a big tunnel system. The starting point of the tunnel system begins where we saw the altar, the shrine. So that stands to reason that the African men were not allowed to come through where we came from. The exit is where we saw the exit of the tunnel, or the beginning of the tunnel is where we saw the shrine. So they walk them through like this. But 1, 2 are just security posts for the British soldiers in order to urge them. Go! 1, 2, 3. The third one is the exit, where they came out from. And that door was the final exit.
No return.
Yes. So they didn't jump in there. The milk dungeon, they just walked them through like this. Let me show you the exit. From where we are standing, we were supposed to be seeing the shrine, the altar, the milk dungeon. Okay? The reason why we can't see it is because the tunnel got sealed off. There was a door here. We call it the door of no return. Now the original door was a small door like this. All the men in the milk dungeon were chained and shackled and forced through the tunnel and then through this door. After the African men were through this door of no return, they were all urged onto the ships and transported to the Americas. The tunnel got sealed off only after the abortion. So that means that when this got sealed off, the tunnel was open. They will take the African men there and then to the other door that we saw. The female dungeons are closer to the other door from the tunnel. Okay, let's see. Now this is the female punishment cell. Okay, there are 2 female dungeons. These are the female dungeons. In each one of them were 250. But many women got some women resisted. All the African women who resisted was here. There was a door here, they locked them up. But for the yes.
Who raped them? The British? The British soldiers?
You saw the building. So the men, the African men, they were not allowed to come here. So the British had access to them. But some women resisted. All the women who resisted were here. Now for the women, food and water was given to them. Unlike the men. The men, punishment cells, no food, no air, no light, no water. But for the women, they gave them food and water. You see the difference? It's not because they didn't want to kill them. They could have killed them. But they knew the women were the ones who produced damage. The more you go, the more you get more. So they were here.
They gave us mixed kids.
Yes. I'll explain that when you get to the female dungeons. Now, these are the female dungeons. There are 2 female dungeons. The other female dungeon is there and this one. In each one of them, the maximum number was 250. The minimum number was 150. These were the only source of light for them. 1, 2, 3. No, there was a massive influx of mosquitoes in the female dungeons. The conditions here were very bad. The African women. In Elmina Castle, there's a place where the Portuguese governor will stand. They will bring the woman and will select, I want this woman. Capecoast Castle does not have that kind of facility. So the British government will stand there, he will look through, and he will order his subordinates to bring the women out. They will clean them. Because of that, many women got pregnant here. All the women who got pregnant here were taken outside the castle. There was a British community out. They took them there, they gave them high-protein items, water, food, and shelter. The children to whom the African women gave birth to were mulattoes and mulatresses. Now, names such as Johnson, Wilson, Swansea, Vandals, Biala, Bambika were names that were given to them. Remember back in the middle dungeon, I did mention of a church.
Yeah.
The church was a school. That is where all the light-skinned children were educated. It wasn't a proper way of educating them. It was to brainwash them. It was to make sure that the light-skinned children or the light-skinned Africans felt superior to the dark-skinned Africans. We call that Delarge. It's still going on.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing has been changed.
Delarge.
Yeah, it's a psychological circulation, which is still going on. Many of the light-skinned Africans were not proud of their African heritages because they were being told that black was inferior and white was superior to black. Any questions, please? Let's see the door. Let's see the door right here. The original door was a small door. For those of you who have been to Elmina Castle before, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very tiny door. We call this door the door of no return because the moment the Africans walked through this door, there was no place of return. This door was the door of no return because this was the final exit of all the Africans in the dungeons. All the African men came through the tunnel system, the women through the female dungeons. Together they urged them through this door. It's a basic human psychology. You know, the moment the Africans had to bend down like this, they became vulnerable. The British soldiers would kick them from the back and urge them through this door. The big slave ships that transported all the Africans to the Americas were not anchored closer to the castle. We were very far away from here, about 85 meters away from here. However, the British would bring small boats closer to the castle and force the Africans onto and take them to the bigger slave ships. After the Africans were onto the ships, we just transport them. We call that journey the Middle Passage. The Middle Passage is considered as the most dangerous process of the transatlantic slave route. The journey took them over 4 months. It is estimated that over 4 million West Africans were shipped off from Capecoast alone. Over 12 million West Africans were shipped off from West Africa. Over 40% of the total population of the West Africans were shipped off by the Portuguese. The Portuguese normally transported the Africans to Brazil. That is why Brazil has a very large population of black people. Today we are going to walk through a door millions of our ancestors walked through and never came back. But I've come to tell you that black energy never dies.
Amen. Amen.
Here is fresh, the view is amazing, it's comfortable in here. Can you feel it? Yeah. The floor, the windows, and the doors are not already. Okay, let's see the map, the auction hall of the castle. This way, please. Fort William was built in the year 1820 in order to protect Capecoast Castle. You know, I made mention of the fact that there was a competition amongst the Europeans, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Swedish wanted to take over Capecoast Castle. So the British did everything in their blood in order to protect the castle. So anytime the British soldiers there saw other Europeans coming, they would wave flags to let those here know that there was something going on. That is why you see the cannonballs and the cannons. The purposes of the cannonballs and the cannons was to protect the castle. This was the quarters of the British soldiers. And their duties was to protect the castle.
I really feel emotional right now because it's I can just imagine what our forefathers were going through doing all this. It's just I'm so happy I actually did this trip. It was worth it. Knowledge is actually power. Knowing a lot of things, liberates you. That's the truth. If you have not been here, please do well to come here if you're an African. Now I understand why a lot of Black Americans come back to Ghana, because they understand that this is where their origin is. Because most slaves that went to America, that went to Portugal, that went to Britain, went through this route. So now I understand better now. And no matter what, they understand that this is their origin. Oh my God. Wow.